Story 1. It has ruined my job. I am perpetually on guard about whether students are using ChatGPT on their assignments, and it makes reading essays incredibly boring because all ChatGPT content looks the same, grammatically coherent but utterly lacking any kind of meaningful content. Story 2. It hasn't affected me meaningfully at all. Instead, I have to scroll past erroneous and unhelpful Google artificial intelligence results every time I make a search. I have to actively assess whether my undergraduate students have used artificial intelligence to commit academic misconduct. Since I'm also studying at a postgraduate level, I also get to enjoy the experience of working honestly in the knowledge that some of my fellow students are not. I get to enjoy both of the ways that artificial intelligence has disrupted tertiary education. I have to scroll past threads like this dozens of times a day. I can't afford a decent graphics card because of this and cryptocurrency. I'm waiting for an artificial intelligence tool to offer literally anything helpful to me, but it hasn't happened yet. Here's one thing that it could actually offer to make my work and life better, but hasn't: an artificial intelligence tool to assess electrocardiograms for rare or difficult ST elevation myocardial infarction diagnoses and mimics. We have to be able to do better than Smith's modified Scarbossa rule when it's 4 a.m. I haven't eaten and my bladder is full, but it hasn't happened yet. Story 3. I have found it annoying having to pass artificial intelligence agents while trying to get customer service. I have found it troubling when looking up information for work and artificial intelligence is giving me information I know to be false as the top result. And I am irritated when trying to find artwork and being inundated with hundreds or more artificial intelligence-generated images, drowning out human artists. Story 4. R/C career hacking is doing some pretty crazy stuff with artificial intelligence job hunts. I saw someone completely automate LinkedIn outreach to get 15 interviews in 2 weeks, and the recruiters never had any idea they were talking to a bot the whole time. Story 5. It has drastically made me reconsider and pivot away from my dream career path in animation production due to anxiety about the future of the industry. It's ruined Pinterest for me because so many of the art reference photos and inspiration photos are artificial intelligence-generated slop. Made me highly distrustful of any media I consume because I'm always suspicious of artificial intelligence being employed for the animation, writing, voiceovers, and illustrations. Story 6. My job has essentially been deleted. Seeing how many artificial intelligence book covers, posters, and design works are coming out, I don't even know why I am still trying. It looks like absolute garbage, but people will do anything to avoid paying someone. Story 7. I can't look at a single website without it mentioning artificial intelligence for things that aren't remotely close to artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, nothing within the consumer sphere is artificial intelligence yet, just glorified machine learning and buzzwords. Story 8. I'm really annoyed by it, mostly. Google search results, Facebook feed algorithms, and Reddit content have all steadily and drastically gotten worse ever since artificial intelligence was brought to the forefront. Story 9. Lost our department to it. Did it help? No. Turns out laying off your tech staff who know the tools is still required. The chief executive officers tanked the company and it went bankrupt. Story 10. Positives. United me and a lot of my artist friends into a good conversation about supporting each other and how best to protect our digital artwork should we have to post it online. Artificial intelligence adult content platforms were kind of fun the one time I tried one. Negatives. Made disinformation and scams a lot harder to detect online. Requires me to protect all my digital art that I post. Ruined the happiness of every teacher I know. Helped elect a fascist that is tormenting my LGBTQ+ friends and crashing my stocks. Made me have to explain to that one guy about a dozen times that artificial intelligence is not, in fact, harmless to the art community, nor is it capable of literally everything if only we had more data. Makes me mildly annoyed when people keep referring to exactly one kind of machine learning as artificial intelligence, despite the fact that it's, at best, maybe 1/10 of the total systems we'd need to make a real artificial intelligence. Absolutely ruined my video streaming feed and searches. Enabled a bunch of companies to leech even more money out of the economy while I'm still trying to buy a house. I'm sure there's more, but to summarize, artificial intelligence can be useful. This is not artificial intelligence, and even if it was, we're clearly not using it correctly anyway. Don't automate creative jobs. You won't like the results. Automate mundane stuff instead. Story 11. It's made me scrutinize everything I see, read, and hear to determine if someone is pouring their heart and soul into something or if someone is just pretending to have developed a skill. It's made my work difficult because people don't bother to read or respond to anything themselves anymore, letting artificial intelligence handle that for them and ultimately making every task take 3 times longer than it needs to. It's made finding reliable information on searches a pain because they all force artificial intelligence content as the top result, and it's almost never accurate. As a writer, it's making publishing and distribution worse by having to put the work I've spent hundreds of hours and years of my life into alongside the veritable sea of artificial intelligence-generated content flooding the market. It's hurt my wife and many of our friends who work in the arts by impacting both freelance and commercial business related to the arts. And as a bonus, it's also harming the planet at the low cost of infinite money. Here's how I'll describe artificial intelligence. It's the wrong answer to a question no one asked that is actively affecting my soul every time I see it used. Story 12. I see more artificial intelligence images showing up on Google Images. Even when I'm looking for real historical or animal photos, I have to do some extra scrolling when I use Google to get past the often laughably inaccurate artificial intelligence overview. I have to hear fellow graduates brag about how they used it for academic misconduct after I worked hard for a first-class degree. I no longer know with much certainty that anybody I'm speaking to online is even a human being. It's another good reason to not bother pursuing my dream career as a historian, since I imagine human authors will soon be obsolete. In terms of positive utility, I can't think of a single way it's ever genuinely helped me. But at least it'll make some sociopathic tech executives obscenely rich while we're all dekilled and sent to work in Amazon warehouses. Story 13. I use it as a tool to boost productivity. For example, in many of the Chinese language texts I receive for translation, the original text is often badly punctuated, so I run it through artificial intelligence, which is excellent at properly punctuating the text. I don't simply use artificial intelligence to translate, because the results are unnatural and filled with unnecessarily overused words. Story 14. It has made a lot of things I use as a consumer much worse. It is bloating the programs I use. It is making the search for reliable information irritating. It makes spreading disinformation easier and makes buying anything in demand, like computer hardware, more frustrating. Story 15. I'm a voice actor. We are currently striking over artificial intelligence in video games. I've heard commercials on the radio that I auditioned for now using artificial intelligence voices. It's not even subtle. Our industry is in serious trouble as many seek to replace us with artificial intelligence voices. Story 16. I use it to author poorly written emails on updates to the company. I once tried to have it write a block of code, but it was terrible and riddled with basic introductory computer science level off by 1 issues and was off by orders of magnitude on simple computations. It's pretty good at writing valueless emails, though. Story 17. My best friend of over 25 years worked as a graphics designer and illustrator. Almost all her clients disappeared and started using artificial intelligence instead, and she faced severe economic struggles, suffered from depression, and took her own life a week before Christmas 2024. Story 18. Existentially, I find it disturbing that the things held as the pinnacle of human achievement and creativity, the process of writing, music, and art, are so easily replicated. I am a proud early member of the New Luddites. Story 19. My husband and many of his friends in technology and web development, some very high-ranking, have been laid off in the last year due to companies deciding artificial intelligence will be their golden goose. Story 20. I'm a college instructor, and it means I have to wade through impersonal work constantly. I tailor my assignments to make them harder for artificial intelligence to do, but it doesn't do a horrible job at an F level. It just does a boring job at a C to B level. I end up having to create more things to be done in class without artificial intelligence access. Story 21. I'm a photographer. Agencies are turning to artificial intelligence instead of photographers' images. My images are not being protected from artificial intelligence use, never knowing what's real or fake. Story 22. I hate artificial intelligence. I'm an artist and animator, and I worry for the future of my career. Artificial intelligence looks awful, especially for animation, but that doesn't mean chief executive officers won't try to insert it where it isn't wanted. It has ruined the internet for me even more than it already was when corporations took over. So much unnecessary content and wrong information. I had to download an extension to block a lot of it. It's harder to find artists to support and buy from on Etsy because 95% of it is artificial intelligence generated content. I thought it was bad when the site started being used to resell Alibaba merchandise. Now I'm seeing lots of legitimate artists being accused of using artificial intelligence, which is sad. I don't post art anymore in fear of it being used to train artificial intelligence. Many of my friends had their art used for this without consent. I'm tired of it being forced on me everywhere. I'm spending less time online and taking up more offline hobbies. Story 23. Just finished my degree in information technology for artificial intelligence, layoffs, and outsourced labor to take over. My other skills are art and writing and, well, you know how that's going with artificial intelligence. I've lost hope I'll find a job in what I studied for and am currently looking into different fields that don't require a degree. Story 24. Lost my job because artificial intelligence can do it with slightly less accuracy but for a lot cheaper. It's been about 6 months and some temporary jobs since then. You never think it's going to happen to you until it does. Story 25. I side with the people who think artificial intelligence is mostly snake oil. I don't think what we're using is teetering on the edge of the singularity at all. The art tools, while interesting, are basically only good enough to disappoint you when you realize how inapplicable they are to actual valuable work. Like, as soon as you think you can shortcut your way to the next digital card game sensation by automating the art, you realize you're competing against 1,000 other people who had the same idea, so you're really just competing on game design, and even that's only if you're lucky to get players who can look past the sea of glossy, oily, soulless imagery all the models gravitate towards. People are going to find out pretty quickly that art isn't just some pretentious gatekeeping scheme. It's about human endeavor. We want to see people do impressive things. That will never change. Prompt wrangling is just not that impressive. Story 26. I found it a useful learning tool. There was an area of math I needed to know. I was sort of getting the idea, but still confused. Clear answers to my poorly framed questions were amazingly helpful in rapidly deepening my understanding. It was like having a specialist tutor me. Very cool. Story 27. Helped me debug code and make quick scripts that didn't need too much development. Also, I played a little Dungeons and Dragons adventure that was quite interesting. In the past, I used generative artificial intelligence images to make handouts for Dungeons and Dragons sessions, but I no longer use it because I don't feel it's ethical. Story 28. I dislike the fact that now creative writing has lost its essence. Before artificial intelligence, people who made the effort in writing well would receive recognition, which worked as an incentive. But now, anybody can produce such work either by solely relying on it or asking for cues. Story 29. They added some artificial intelligence to the chain of tools I use at work, and I've spent the last few days fixing the code it generated because I was asked to lean in and let it generate a bunch of it. So, my life. Story 30. Artificial intelligence, and to a lesser but still significant extent cryptocurrency, has only served to accelerate the degradation of the entire internet. Google is awful now, pretty much all social media is fascist trash, and I have to dig through settings to make sure my information, photos, and other data are not being used to create more low-quality artificial intelligence. I have to say, I am not a fan. Story 31. It's really unfortunate what artificial intelligence has done to music. Imagine dedicating over 10 years of your life to refining the art of composition and studying at an undergraduate and graduate level. You produce countless works, all of which took a lot of time and provided very little pay. You have earned the title of musician. Then your company cuts your job because some artificial intelligence music model comes out, produces incoherent, boring music based on the statistical average. The best part? It's analyzing your work to make its algorithms. However, companies don't need to pay it, so they go with it. Then some idiot on Reddit has the gall to call themselves a musician because they can sit at a computer and generate content via this artificial intelligence. Story 32. My husband will not stop messing with the ones that make art. It is all he does now. He does not hang out with me anymore. We do not play games, and there are no dates. I wish his computer would catch fire. Story 33. It's annoying to keep having to tell undergraduates that I can't get them the book they want because that book doesn't exist and those authors weren't even alive at the same time. Story 34. Yes, it has in a good way. It does make communication with others much easier. Translating between Dutch and between South Korean, English, German, and Italian is much easier now.